Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. And yes, I know what you're thinking. 3 uploads in 1 month? It's kinda crazy. Anyways, today I present to you my Mount Lady Advanced Guide. My last video was targeted towards brand new Mount Lady players or old returning Mount Lady players who haven't played her in a really long time. In this video, we're going to be building upon those very basics, talking about combos, tunings, loot pass, and one more very important tip for ranked, especially if you're climbing out of expert or trying to gain points in ace rank. That being said, I appreciate every single one of you guys for sticking with me for this long. And now let's get you into ace rank with Mount Lady. I probably should have covered this in the last guide, huh? Tunings, regardless of rank, are very important to Mount Lady since she's a lower tier character and has a lot of shortcomings. Tunings won't carry you to victory, but it can save games for you or make playing her even easier. Since Mount Lady does struggle with survivability, which is important in expert lobbies since you get most of your points from placements, tunings like HP or GP Sucker are my go-to since they help you in giant form when you get stray kills, especially in the smaller circles. Another tuning I see ran is Hyper Regeneration, but unfortunately I don't have that because I didn't get Shigaraki. For what I have observed though, it's her best tuning to use on tech slots. One more tuning you can run on Mount Lady is Revenge Support, which is another tuning that comes in clutch in her giant form. If you want tunings to make up for a lackluster movement, you can run Revenge Rapid, Wall Runner, or even Space Hop. You can also run melee tunings like Iron Fist, Embrittlement, and Acceleration on Mount Lady since most of her combos encourage you to land melees. Acceleration is really good for movement since her moves do come out faster and she just moves faster in general, which will help with positioning, which we will talk about later. Personally though, I recommend running some kind of survivability tuning if you're running a melee tuning. Now all these tunings sound great, right? Unfortunately, there's one problem. Mount Lady used to have the same problem as Overhaul because he just got a new costume, where she currently only has one available costume to pull for, but it's impossible to pull since the rates are not boosted right now. And the Kamui Woods costume is locked behind a really old event, and her other costume is linked behind being ranked an expert rank, I think, in season 11. But there's a black version of her party outfit dropping the first week of March, and it has main tuning tech and hero assault. So I would run Fixer and Space Hop or Full Burn, or you can run Sisterly Disposition, but Sisterly kind of sucks. But most of the time we're gonna have to be run budget builds. For the base costume, I recommend the Heat and the Dangerous version of her base costume. If you do own her casual costume, I would run Villain Style, Combat Style, or the Heat Style, as they both have really good tuning builds. Both of her party costumes are really good, so it really depends on what you want in your play style. If you have the Dangerous version of the Kamui Wood style, I would run that too. I know I spent the last 2 sessions talking about Mount Lady's shortcomings, but if she's played right, she's really good. This game plan built from my personal experience will level up your decision making and increase your chances of winning, especially if you're hard stuck in expert or if you want to just gain points in ace rank. We're going to break it down in 3 sections. Early game is all about preparation for the mid and late game, so that's where Mount Lady shines. I suggest landing somewhere that isn't super populated so you can loot up and level up your quirk skills safely without getting third-partied by characters like Rapid Deku, Lady Nagant, and Iron All Might, since they will chase you down in early game. I suggest leveling your alpha to level 4, then your beta to level 4. After that, I'd max out your alpha first, and then you get your beta to level 7. Leveling the Gamma is optional since leveling it only really increases the damage, which you don't really need. The alpha and beta need the levels more since they become just better moves in general as the levels go up. Try not to fight at all early in the game, because if you commit too early or commit at all, they will focus you and finish the kill regardless of if you leave early or if you leave late. If you're with your team and you decide to take a fight, don't be afraid to leave earlier than them. What matters most in expert rank and ace rank is placements if you want the most points. I also recommend grabbing strike and support cards for your 2 slots since they will both help you in your giant form and final circle. One will help your survivability and the other will increase your damage output exponentially. Mid game is where you can start to be a little bit more aggressive, but I still suggest not taking any fights. This is around the time we should be rotating early and finding out whether the circle benefits Mount Lady or is against Mount Lady. If you see an isolated target or your team is third partying to finish a fight, I would take it, but still be aware of your positioning and if you can leave early. Endgame is where Mount Lady shines. All the looting and the passive play and positioning have led to this very moment. In smaller circles, there's little to no hiding spots and the sight lines are usually tighter. This is where Mount Lady shines. You primarily whiff punish, or just punish people for making bad decisions. Bad healing spots, risky revives, and any target that isolates themselves is a free kill for Mount Lady. I would still play around positioning more since smaller circles are all about movement and positioning, so try to be aware of healing spots for yourself and your team. This way you guys don't die in the process of third partying others. This is also when you use your strike or support cards you picked up, especially in giant form. Speaking of her giant form, this is one of the craziest win conditions in Final Circle if it is used correctly. Primarily you should use this when there's less than 4 or 5 teams in a smaller circle. You can also go big earlier if you're tracking cooldowns and are aware of the characters in Final Circle, but I still don't suggest it as you can get beamed down by Lady Nagant. Her melees are very underrated as I stated before in the last video, so her melee tunings shine even more in her giant form. Her beta is obviously her best move in big form since it goes through walls and it has insane AoE and space control, but I think her gamma is heavily underrated. You can use it to catch any character with high mobility and use it to just take space in general. You can also use it for characters that like to fly around in the sky, like Iron All Might, Lady Nagant, Rapid All Might, characters like that. You can catch them in the air with your air melee or gamma and get a free kill. Make sure you pay attention to your special action meter at all times though, as your D-transformation animation is the most vulnerable a Mount Lady player can ever be. The damage reduction ends the second the animation starts, so be ready to disengage early so you can safely D-transform. Try using one gamma to go mid-air and pop giant form. This will force the enemies to look up at you and away from their fight, and they'll take even more damage. I would also suggest using a beta immediately, since when you're in the air the red circle doesn't appear on the floor and they'll have less time to react to it. This section was difficult for me to write since I don't really do any crazy combos. I only use the same 2 combos, which I change depending on how I start it, which kind of does prove my point. You don't have to do combos like gamma, jump cancel, alpha into another gamma. They look cool and they're very situational, but the resource consumption in my opinion isn't worth it. Mount Lady favors whiff punishing and space control over flashy combos. A lot of players at this level like to put the combo game first and neglect positioning and mental state, when those are the main things that help you get better at the game. Yeah, sure, you can learn these combos and you can use them in game, but they're very, very situational as I stated before, and the resource consumption is ridiculous considering you need all the gammas you can get in case you have to escape from a bad situation. You can do things like gamma into an a grounded air melee with the new air melee tech they added last season, just to get a hit and run off in case you want to just pop acceleration and leave. But that's really about it that I have for this section. As we all know, Mount Lady is a lower tier character, so not every session is going to be fun for you. Some maps suck for her, like Neo Academia. Some metas are even more punishing for her to play in, like this current season. The chase meta this season is horrible. Game after game it starts to feel unfair and it starts to take a toll on your mental state. You'll start to overextend, you'll take bad fights, you'll push off by yourself, you'll try to ego kill, and even worse, you'll activate your giant form when you shouldn't be. The worst thing you can do on Mount Lady isn't even overextending or whiffing all of her moves, it's playing in a bad mood. It could lead you to make bigger mistakes than usual and make your mental worse and worse as the session continues. I know, because I've been there. This is where the importance of having a secondary main comes in. Yeah, I know, a Mount Lady guy telling you to play someone else.
You're a fraud, Spider-Man!
It's the best way to deal with tilt if you want to continue playing the game though. I've been one-tricking Mount Lady since Season 1, and it's been kinda terrible. I've been forcing myself to endure terrible meta after terrible meta for the sake of it. It eventually changed how I felt about the game, forcing me to take long breaks from it. This is why you need a secondary. Not only does this decrease the amount of tilt and help with your mental, but it can also teach you skills you didn't learn from only playing Mount Lady. So for example, around Season 11 I picked up Tech Todoroki because he looked really cool and I wanted to start using his beta and alpha explosion. He's a character that requires good positioning and space control to compensate for his low mobility. And once you get the hang of him, he's really good in smaller circles, tight spaces, and especially buildings. Holy buildings is he ridiculous. When I went back to Mount Lady, I had subconsciously improved my positioning and space control, and I played way patiently than I ever have before. I was willing to play slower than everyone else. And Mount Lady rewards patience more than anything else I've told you in this guide. And that's going to be it for my advanced Mount Lady guide. Thank you all so much for your support thus far and on this video. I have a special video planned for the channel's anniversary in March, so do stay tuned for that. And let me know if you guys want any more guides, especially for Tech Todoroki, since I've been having a lot of fun on him and he's my secondary main. Don't forget to like and subscribe. More Guilty Gear and Multi Rumble videos are on the way. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you in the next one.